Welcome back to Franchise Hockey Manager 11 with the Philadelphia Flyers. After a successful season, we start the 2034-2035 season, and it's been 10 years since we've been in charge, so not too bad at all. We did pretty good last season. We ended up getting 57 wins during the season and 22 losses, 3 overtime losses, which is the best finish that we end up having overall anyways. So ultimately, we did have to make some difficult decisions. I'll get into that now. But ultimately, it was kind of disappointing, the decisions that we had to make. We made some good ones, some bad ones, and still kind of regretting it. So we'll go to signings first. We did take Korolev, who only played in the SHL. He does look okay, probably like a fourth liner, maybe even not. We did get Milota, who I think we had last season, and we traded him away. We traded him away and Misa for a second round pick and a sixth round pick. So we ended up getting him. I guess they didn't re-sign him because they wanted Misa instead. So ultimately not too bad, but we'll take a look at some of the trades that we did. Some of the trades that we did were pretty crazy. We got rid of Drysdale for a second round pick to Colorado. We just couldn't afford him. Same thing with Demidov as well. We did get a first rounder for him. I did look at his grade afterwards, and I know he doesn't really overperform in terms of stats. He still was pretty solid for us, but since we have Martin on the right wing, we can probably afford this. After that, we end up getting rid of Tanaka, Morozov, Natanen, which was one of our draft picks, and 2 first rounders because we desperately needed a center after this season. I'll show you how our cap situation looks. But we end up getting a Billy Belcher, who was a third overall pick, sorry. Actually, sorry, second overall pick. Projected to be 9th, but I think Natanen or whatever we end up getting with the 8th pick. Oh no, that was the 32nd pick. Never mind. So we end up getting with the 32nd pick, and then we end up trading 2 first rounders for this guy. So, bit of a risk, but ultimately, what can you do? We then ended up getting Beatrice, who was on the trade block. He's going to be one of our defenders, so he should probably replace Drysdale there. He can play left and right D. He is a lefty, so most likely he's going to play on the left side. We ended up getting rid of Obane, Dor, and 4th round pick, so it didn't really cost us a whole hell of a lot. But we'll take a look at our draft. We're only going to show you a couple of the players that we end up doing because we're just going to jump into the season pretty quick. We end up getting Desmond, Natanen, Thiviege, and Lawalniuk. Desmond didn't look too bad. We ended up getting with the pick that we got for the Demidov one. Projected to go 8th overall. We got him at 15. So that was originally the guy that I was going to trade, or at least I thought. But we might need a right D, so I don't really want to give everything right now for it. Nitanen, I'll just show you how he looked. He looked okay. He looked pretty decent for a right winger, but I think right wing we're kind of stacked already, so we don't really need to worry about that. Martin and Michkov pretty much holding down the fort, and then we can just get more of a defensive one anyways. Jeremy Thiviege, he also plays right wing. Got it for the Milota pick. He was projected to go 102. Doesn't look too bad. Determination and temperament are pretty high, and his physicals already look like they're pretty decent, and I think he should develop into a decent player. At least an up and down winger is what it looks like he's more suited for, or a power forward, or even a screener. I never use screeners, so I don't really know the use for them. We end up getting Lawalniuk, who looks okay. We mainly based a lot of it on determination, just because we're going to take a little bit of shots in the dark anyways. We won't really go into the rest of what we have there, but cap situation is what the most important part is. So Michkov, $9.5 million there, and then Rybkin with $7 million. Luchenko, we end up extending, only paying $1.2 million more. So he was on his last year, and we decided to extend him. Barkey, I think this is the last year for him. I don't think we're going to extend him. That's one of the reasons why we kind of went all in on Beecher. Stenberg, we did extend him because he was only asking for 1.3 more, and I figured it kind of made sense. Martin's going to be with us anyways. He's still 24, and he looks like he's progressing pretty well. He can only play on the right wing though, and 70 grade, he's going to be slotting on the second line to replace Demidov. So definitely leaves a couple areas open. Fyodorov we extended at the end of last season. He only graded a 68, but he can play left, right, and center. Most likely he's going to play on the left wing though. Carlson, I don't think we can extend him, so he could be one of those trade casualties. He only graded a 61, so I am looking at possibly replacing him. Koryalov, as you can see, is on the team. Stephen Wright is a rookie for us. He is 20 years old, and I think we end up getting with the second round pick there. I think it was the Okulov trade. So Okulov, where is he now? He is currently with the Dallas Stars, and let's take a look at how he's looking. 62 grade, 58, 59. So we didn't really, I don't think we really lost too much on that. Dixon we still had from last year. Smith is still 2 more years, including this one, and then Ronberg and Jensen there. I think Clear's not going to really play for us. I think we're going to kind of monitor it. And then Dominic Beardes will probably extend next season if he plays well for us. I did like the fact that we could get him at a discount. We got them to eat half his salary. And then Stein we end up extending for pretty low. He's going to probably play at least half the games for us, maybe even a full season if we can help it. And most of these players aren't going to end up playing for us, but injuries happen, and we might have to kind of focus on that. But the fact that we're favorites this season isn't too bad. We'll look at the free agency as well and see if there's anyone that's available for us. I don't really think that we can really afford it, to be honest, but I think the longer the season goes, the bigger the contracts that we can really absorb anyways. But things are looking good for this season. We did have to cut some of our players that have been with us for a while, so it was a little bit difficult saying goodbye to Demidov, but unfortunately, you do kind of have to stick with your top line. We had Luchenko and Rybkin, who kind of take a little bit more precedent, and then also just the fact that Martin was playing as well, and that Drysdale can never really play a full season without getting a little bit banged up. Does open it up for Stein to be able to at least play in that role, and kind of rotate between it. We did actually buy out a contract. I did forget to show that, but we did end up buying out a Cider. I think we're due to have to pay only $1 million over the next 2 seasons. So $1.5 million, I think, is like the going rate at this point. And yeah, we had to give it up, but he did serve his due for us for sure. And tons of waivers, but we don't really care about that. That's not how we build this team. Clear is still unfit. But here's looking at the lines that we have for the season. For the first game, we have Korilanov, Carlson, and Carlson on the bottom line. We have Fyodorov, Mers, and Latinen as our third line, and then Svensson, Stenberg, and Martin as our second line. Luchenko, Rybkin, and Michkov presuming the role as our top line. Smith and Jansen are going to get the nod at the top. Then we have Beardes and Stein playing on the second line, and Dickinson and Ronberg as our third line. That looks pretty good if you ask me. Free agency-wise, though, there are some players that we could easily help ourselves to. How is Yurchek only getting 55 grades, though, on 3 different teams? We did also find out that Spencer Knight ended up retiring as well. Graham looks okay, but we'll play against Carolina here. See how well we do game 1. we lose 3-2, so not a good start for us. Mers ends up scoring his first, and then Stein scores his first, so I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. At least the first couple games, I don't really rate it to be as dominant as last season. I think we could have made do and moved some stuff around this season if we needed to, but yeah, Carolina also in a rebuild, so kind of nerve-wracking to end up losing the first game like that, but we also were at home too. We'll end up swapping it up. We'll put Elijah in and see if we can at least bounce back in the second game, and we don't. We're going to be bottom. Our first round pick's going to be big, isn't it? So Dickinson now hurt with a contusion, so Clear looks like he's going to slot in, but it looks like Dickinson's still playing. But 0-2 to start this off. I think this is probably the worst that we've started off. I don't think we've lost the first two in any of the seasons past. But we face off against Boston and then Ottawa, and we'll have to take a look. If good thing that we end up getting Dickinson just for him to be injured. So let's see if we can manage to turn things around here. We do finally get a win. Takes overtime and a shootout to manage to get it. We give up 2 in the first. Then we end up giving in the second we end up giving up a goal. So we're down pretty deep in the third. Then Carlson ends up scoring 2 to tie it up, and then Stenberg ends up getting the game winner. Michkov ends up scoring as well. But at least we managed to win. That's all that matters. So Boston's 1-1-1. We're 1-2-0. And we end up facing against Ottawa, who's 1-2. So pretty much the same position. I think we're win now team as well. But like I said, it's going to take a little while for us to get our bearings. And I think once we do, it's just going to be absolute nightmare for teams out there. I do want to see how well our players that we end up letting go do. At least some point throughout this season. But we'll end up having to swap that out. And let's see how we do. We lose 4-2. My God, 1-3 is pretty pathetic. We're not even going to look at anything. Svensson's hurt. And Stein's hurt. Broken collarbone. 1 to 2 months. This is a disastrous start. We shouldn't have gone all in for a youngster for next season. This is rough. So already starting off pretty bad. At least the only way that we can go is up, and at least most of the other teams aren't as dominant anyways. Stein hurt. Oof. Really eating those comments about Drysdale for sure. We managed to win 5-1 though, shockingly. Murs scores Ripken with 2 short-handed, and then Korolev, whatever, ends up scoring his first, and then Carlson scores his first as well. The only good thing about injuries is it does open it up for other people to at least showcase some things. 2-3-0 amongst 5 games. We have played one of the more games in our division, and this is going to be rough anyways. So see if we can manage to win here. Rivalry game. We lose 5-3. That is not how we want to start the season. Korlov gets a shorthanded. Mers gets a shorthanded as well. So scoring on the power play, and then Smith ends up scoring. Sorry, on the power kill, and then Smith scores on the power play. 2-4-0, and we're like the Rangers. That has been this whole series. They're actually 3-1-0, and we have 2 undefeated teams in our division. So wild card maybe. This could be the only season where we don't end up hitting 50 goals, I think, or 50 wins, and that'll be rough. So facing off against Utah, and we lose 4-3. No points there. Smith ends up scoring, and Luchenko with 2. Luchenko relatively quiet up until now. So 7 games in, he finally gets his first 2, and not even close to how well we did last season. So we end up turning things towards Vancouver, and then we're going to end up facing off against Seattle. You know what, Dickinson, we're going to put you on the injury list. Ronberg, I'm going to do it as well. I just can't stand it. At least we can bring up some players. And then we'll have to bring them down anyways. Rappinen, also tired. We're going to lose this game for sure. 4-2 win. Carlson, Piniemi ends up scoring, and then Mers and Burtis ends up scoring his second. We now face off against Seattle, and 3-5-0 is a bad start. And doesn't look like Hurricanes have lost yet. Devils finally end up suffering their first loss. And at least we're close to Rangers. As long as we finish on top of the Rangers, everything should be fine, right? Face off against Seattle here. We win 5-2, so back-to-back wins is fantastic. Stenberg, Koryolov, and then George gets his first. Mers ends up scoring his fifth, and Michkov finally gets on the score sheet after 9 games. So slow start for Michkov as well. Like I said, it's either he shows up very early or it takes him a little while to get going. But Michkov never consistent when it comes to those two things. So Elijah's going to get his nod here. Looks like it's our first back-to-back game. We end up winning 5-2, so that's 3 in a row. Turning things around immediately. Ronberg, Luchenko, Wright, and then Piperinen, and then Michkov with a second there. So not too bad. 10 games in, 5-5-0. So we managed to turn around from a disastrous start. We do face off against Colorado. I will play this one because Drysdale did go to Colorado. So I will play this regardless, win or lose. But the fact that we're actually tied on points, even though they do have a couple extra games, is a little bit comforting. I'm not too concerned now, I guess. But we'll change things up here. Face off against Colorado, and we'll look at the lines after. We lose 4-3. Drysdale's going to score for sure. Stenberg, Ripken on the score sheet. Ripken, and then Aiden Young for them has 2. I don't see. Drysdale scores game winner. Knew it. So the guy that I didn't want to get rid of ends up scoring the game winner against us in overtime at least. So at least he gave us a point. But that is ultimately disappointing. How is he doing so far? 9 games, 2-2 and 4. Greatest 57. So I don't know how they're playing him, but the fact that he's a 57 is kind of sad. That is pretty pathetic. We're going to face off against San Jose and hopefully get the win, and then kind of look at our stats as of now, and then look if we have to make any adjustments, which I feel after being 5-5-1 through 11 games, we're definitely going to have to make some adjustments. I did skip over the development. I did kind of want to take a glance at that, but sometimes my fingers are a little too quick when it comes to stuff like that. So 5-5-1. We are striking distance within the top 3 for sure. Devils now dropping 4 games. They were undefeated at one point, and Hurricanes dropping 3 straight. It looks like. So ultimately disappointing for them. So we'll play this game against San Jose. See if we can manage to get the win here. We do 4-1. Carlson scores. Well, Carlson scores 2, and then Dixon scores, and then Ripken scores. So ultimately, with 12 games in, we do bump up, but they do have a couple games at hand. But Blue Jackets also have a game at hand. We have a game at hand on them, so we could easily find ourselves in the top 3 position. All depends on how well 2 teams that look like they're going to be a little bit more struggling this season. Again, Rangers are rebuilt too. Jeez. Okay, terms of the league though, we are 11th, so ideal, not a good start. 42 goals though, 35 goals against. So definitely the goals against is what's affecting us. We'll take a look at the points. Ripken with 11, Luchenko with 11, Michkov with 9. So most of them coming as assists. Burtis with 7, Fyodorov with 7, and Stenberg with 7, and Mers only with 5 goals. So just more of a shooter than anything at the moment. But we'll look at the lines real quick too. Grade-wise, does look like there's a couple players in the 70s, but low 60s, not the worst. Goalie-wise, will probably tell us a story. 922 for Elijah, and Jonah with the 897. How was he an 897 with? Geez, like he has the stats. He's 4.5, but maybe too much last season for him. But we're gonna let Elijah kind of take a little bit of the burden. We won't start him in nearly as many games. But looking at the lines, yeah, perimeter shooter. Yeah, there definitely has to be a sniper there. Same thing with Martin. Martin should be the sniper. 2 playmakers here, so we definitely need to monitor a little bit more, at least off camera, while we end up simulating the rest of this up to the trade deadline. But we're going to have to take a closer look at this because that is definitely one of those things that are impacting us for sure. He should be a sniper, and even Michkov should probably be the sniper. I think he's don't really like the snipers being centers personally. I like them either being danglers or setup. He could be, I guess Michkov could be a sniper as well. Fyodorov, I wouldn't really say is, he could be a playmaker. Let's do counterattacking. I think that's more suited for him. And then Carlson here. Playmaker seems like the most logical there. It seemed like he's more fixated on that. Counterattacking, no, it seems like he's fine with speedy forward. I don't mind that. Barkey's now on the bottom line, so 5 million for that is not ideal for us. But we're gonna end up jumping to the trade deadline. I feel as though we're probably gonna be active. I think we have to kind of change more to the all-in mentality and not really focus on the draft picks, which is kind of why we end up going for Belcher, just mainly because of that. We need to kind of focus on the next 3 or 4 seasons where Michkov is starting to age, and he might not necessarily be the focal point of that, but we'll end up having to jump to that and see where we are at the trade deadline. So after 66 games, we find ourselves in 3rd place in the Metropolitan, which is actually fantastic. I didn't think that we'd be at this point because we were struggling pretty hard for most of the season. If you look at the conference, we are 5th place in the conference, and then in terms of league, we're in the 9th place. So not too bad. We are currently separated, well, actually, pretty well separated by the next place team, which is Capitals. So we're doing pretty good in that respect, but we haven't been playing our best, that's for sure. 18-12-2 at home and 17-12-5 away. A 4-2 shootout, and we just come off a loss with Colorado 9-1. So not necessarily the best, not the worst either, but we did start off pretty rough. A decent amount of players now for the trade block, and I don't think we can really afford any of them. We've put in some offers here and there, and no one really wants to make a deal. Mark Stein's the only one that they want. We'll have to take a look at maybe a 3rd rounder, see what that does. They are at least entertained, so we can maybe weasel our way through. I don't necessarily want to give anyone that we might want to start at some point. So it's going to probably take 2 picks, I imagine. Maybe a 4th the year after. Does open it up a bit. Louis Carlson, I don't think we're going to keep him. He's graded around 61. Yeah, maybe. Maybe we actually do that. Because we're not going to end up keeping him. I think he wants too much. He is 23 though, so this could be a deep regret. Estelle only has 1 year left though. He only has 1 year left on his contract. I don't know if we'll be able to sign him. Currently he is graded around 65. He's an assistant captain too. Let's offer the trade. We'll make do. I can kind of look at where he's going to fit in this line. And I don't see him. Is he not even going to... I guess he might be tired. Pastella's isn't good enough to play for us yet. Or no, he's 75 there. So I do think this opens up an opportunity for us to be able to bring in someone else here. Levushinov. No, I think we're good for that. And Cole Bodang looks like he could be decent. George, we don't need a backup goalie, I don't think. Cole Bodang is the only one that kind of jumps off. I think we had Aram Olsen as well at some point. And yeah, he's only graded 57. Yeah, we definitely don't want this guy. We traded him away for what? Oh, we got Cider with him. Yeah, we don't want him for sure. So that leaves Geeky could be a sneaky pick there. 34 Barto we don't need. Bumi and Dien we've been trying to trade, but to no avail. And maybe we'll look at what's going to take for Bill Zanin, and they already don't want to do anything. Put in Hall. Does kind of open it up, but why would we trade our number one goalie? That is ridiculous. And we'll kind of leave it at that. We'll bounce around at least a game or so to kind of see. Ripken with 34 goals is top of the league, and Michkov with 48 points. We'll take a look at how well he's been doing as of recent. And he's been doing pretty good, surprisingly. A little bit better than what I would have expected. And we do end up making that trade, though. Obviously, we probably lose this trade. Pastella's, what does he want in terms of an extension? He wants $5 million. So I don't think we end up getting him. But with some prospects coming up next season, we might not really need it. Yeah, Barkey's going to be gone. And then we could possibly afford Pastella. If he shows that he's worth it, we're obviously going to do it. Fyodorov, 44. That's actually pretty good. But we'll take a look at the history, though, because Michkov ends up getting the top 3 in terms of assists. So within striking distance of goals, too. I did take a quick look. He is now top 4 in terms of total points, and he is, top 5 in terms of goals, or top 6 in terms of goals. Can easily pass Tippett over the next couple games for sure, but pretty impressive in terms of points, though. Assists, though, is just Giroux in front of him, and then Clark in front of him as well. But we'll take a look at... we're going to play, and where does he slot in? Pastella looks like he sets up on the second line, Stenberg dropping down. So we do like that. 6-2 for first game. Not too bad. Stein scores, Janssen scores, and Luchenko score before Michkov, Svensson, and Ripken end up scoring at the end for his 35th. So closing in on the trade deadline here, and I mean, hopefully it gives us another opportunity to make a trade if we can afford. I do think we need to do it. We need to kind of pull the trigger on something. Probably defender, to be honest, if there is one that kind of squeezed in over the last couple days. We'll try again for Boumedienne. We've offered this before. They can't add it to his payroll. So we'll kind of delete everything. I just don't think they can afford him, to be honest. I do want them eating up like half. Maybe Barkey? As much as it would pain for me to just get rid of him like that. It doesn't open up either. So it looks like we're set at the position that we're at, and 36 wins so far. Not necessarily the greatest. Not the worst either, but like I said, a long time coming. We thought that it's going to be a bit rough for us. Liam Reed, I mean, feels though the values on trade deadline aren't really factored in. Like, a team wants to get rid of him. It's either they suck or they get rid of him. You'd think that they'd be more motivated. Does Fyodorov with his 11th and 12th, and then Rybkin with his 36th. Mers with 21 goals this season, 21, 24, and 45. He is definitely improving significantly. So we did take a chance on him, and does look like it's paying off for sure. So not too bad with that. 81 points here. And we are clawing in. We could pass the Rangers if we end up sticking to the streak that we're on. And it does look like Clear is going to be injured here, at least for the time being. We do win 7-1 against Columbus. That's what I like to see. Pustella with the goal, Stenberg and Steiger, and then Mers, Luchenko, Fyodorov, and then Rybkin with his 39th. Rybkin doing crazy things. Michkov's setting him up this season. So not too bad at all. 28 wins for Tannhauser. What I like to see for sure. And probably only around, 13 games left? I think we can finish strong. We have 2 games at hand on Rangers. I'm okay with facing them in the postseason. I think our teams at least improved to the point where we should be able to beat them. Face off against Washington, 5-3 there. Stein scores, Stager scores, Michkov score, and then he scores 2 shorthanded, and then Martin scores his 22nd. So ultimately, I think we should be good. Yeah, 85 points. There's still 3 games difference between that, so 12 games remaining for us. At least we know we've almost guaranteed a playoff spot. So that's the confidence level. But it looks like our division is just way harder than most division. 85 gets you into 3rd place, whereas 85 would get third place, and then we'd be leading the league in which one? Yeah. Edmonton top cheese with that was 79 though. And I don't know, that's a bit rough though. We'd still be in 3rd in both divisions in the East. 6-3, we do lose 6-5, so our streak finally comes to an end. Rybkin with his 38th, Stein with his 8th, Rybkin with his 39th, and then Fyodorov with his 15th, but ultimately give up the last goal in regulation, so no points there. And surprisingly, it's both New York teams. I didn't even pay attention to that. New York Islanders with 100 points though, and it does look like we might be in danger of actually hitting 50 wins this season. 6-0, that's fantastic. Latinen, Stenberg, and Michkov score. Svensson, Latinen, and Luchenko end up getting on the score sheet as well. We now head to Florida, and Lightning are actually top. We're pretty close in terms of points with them too. They're actually top in the East. So yeah, Islanders are just running away with us. We would have to win we'd have to win 10 straight to get 50 wins. So I'm gonna go with that doesn't happen, but I mean, as long as we kind of make a push to finish ahead of New York there. Win 4-0. Michkov scores his 26, Beardis scores his 8th, Rybkin 40, and then Luchenko with 29. And we end up heading to Detroit. And Detroit's not doing too great, 28 and 41 and 1. We have 7 overtime losses. Jesus. That's kind of wild. I think we probably haven't had that many in total. But that's a lot of extra points there. 2-1 win. We do go to extra time again. Smith scores, and we end up. Oh, sorry. We end up winning a shootout. So goal by Stenberg, and then Svensson end up getting on the score sheet. And now Rybkin is injured. Day to day looks like. And it does look like we're going to have to suffer without him. We do face off against Montreal, who at the beginning of the season were lights out. They were definitely one of the top teams, and I think we even lost pretty harshly by them. But ultimately, yeah, 9 days. Okay, that's fine. At least it gives the actual amount of days. So we'll end up resetting it again, and hopefully we don't have any double headers. So 4-3 win there. Janssen, Stenberg, and Luchenko and Martin end up getting on the score sheet there. And 93 points. So we're tied with New York. 43 wins and versus 45. But it's just a ton of extra overtime losses there. And it doesn't look like they played yet. We faced off against Chicago and then Nashville. Both teams respectively not as dominant. And Jensen also hurt as well, but does say that he's come back or can come back soon. So we do have a doubleheader coming up. 2-3 loss, another overtime loss. Michkov was his 26th or 27th, and then Martin was his 24th. And now we head to Nashville and St. Louis on the road. St. Louis and Nashville both not doing as great, but still points-wise, they're actually killing it. So they're not as bad as what it looks like based on their standings. It's just that their division is pretty aggressive. We're around the same in terms of points, so it's going to be tough either way. We lose 5-4 in regulation. No goals in the first, and then every single goal in the second. We do manage to get one in the third, but unfortunately, we could only get one. Connor McDavid's still kicking around at 38. We now head to St. Louis, where our backup's going to get the start here. Both goalies have been a little bit cold. We do face them again afterwards. 4-2 loss, so back-to-back losses is not ideal here. We now go home and face St. Louis. I still find that weird. At least we get an extra game to rest there. And only 4 games left. And Smith now hurt. Hopefully he should be back for the playoffs. And does look like we do at least get Ripken back. 4-0 loss, so two games where we concede 4 goals is not ideal. Barkey improves on right wing, but that doesn't really matter. Does look like we're going to finish below Rangers, but we are going to face them in the first round, so it's going to be exciting to start this off. We do face against Columbus now, and yeah, only 3 games remaining for us. And Tannhauser at the top, but Michkov actually top 8. That is impressive. So he ends up doing at least a point per game, so I do like that. We'll take a look at development. We're only really looking at 2 players. Stephen Wright, I mean, 45 points is pretty good. And obviously Mark Stein we're curious about. And I haven't seen our best prospect, Billy Belcher. And he's doing very good, 131 points in 60 games. That is insane. 91 grade, so he's definitely going to be good enough to play for us next season, just based on the points alone. But yeah, 3 games remaining. We face Columbus, Toronto, and I'm not sure what the other team is. Good thing it's not back-to-back to end the season, though. Toronto at the top, though. And I wonder who they're going to have to face in round 1. I never thought I'd see them at the top of their division. Lose 7-4, so on a bit of a streak there. Toronto's one of the last games, and we comfortably end up finishing 3rd. I mean, we could... I don't think we can still get knocked out, though. But either way, let's try and win this game. 6-3 at home, so I like that. Michkov with his 29th, Pistella with his 16th, Svensson and Fyodorov with their 16 and 17, and then Janssen with his 12th. Barkey scores his 6th. So not too bad. Yeah, 96 points. Yeah, we definitely guaranteed that spot. Rangers actually hit 100, so we finished with either 44 or 45 wins. I mean, it does suck that the streak ends here, but still, all in all, pretty decent. I'm sure in terms of the league, we're not going to be as high as what we hoped. Face off against New York here. And yeah, we win 3-1. Michkov with his 30th, Mays with his 7th, and then Svensson with his 17th. I think Mays we end up signing, though. So we'll take a look at the stats in a minute, but we finished with 98 points. And does look like Devils won't make the playoffs. That is insane. So standing-wise, Ripken ends up finishing 3rd in terms of goals. That's pretty good. Michkov with 57 in terms of assists. 81 for McDavid, though. That is wild. So Boston Bruins and Montreal end up finishing in the playoffs. Sorry, Devils. You will not make the playoffs this season. What were they? They were a balanced team. We're win now for the next 2 seasons. Balanced win now, balanced win now, and then rebuild. So find that kind of wild. In terms of league, though, we finished 10th. So not great. Not bad either. And then we'll take a look at our stats here. 74 grade for Michkov with 87 points in 81 games. So almost the same as last season. Almost identical as last season. But managed to play almost a full season uninjured, though. So he plays 1 game less and gets 1 more point. Ripken with 81. Luchenko with 77. Jansen ends up scoring 68, though. That is pretty good. And Martin ends up getting 64, so a little bit better. He's still improving. He wants to finish above Demidov in terms of where he was last season. Fyodorov with 59. Pistel ends up scoring 11 in 16 games, so depending on how well he plays in the playoffs, we might have to re-sign him. Svensson with 52 in 76, so a little bit less than last year. And then Stenberg with 51 and 79. Mers with 51, and then Smith with 43. So everyone kind of doing a little bit of improvements, and that's what I like to see. 35, 22, and 6. That's way worse than last season. Yeah, way worse. 890 save percentage. Oof, that's going to be rough. 334 goals against. So obviously there's something that we end up having to do. But let's jump to the playoffs and see if we can manage to get a result there against our rivals. Our head-to-head so far this season has been 0-3, but keep in mind a lot of those games were earlier in the season, and our team does look a little bit more improved than what it was back then. We end up losing 6-1, 4-3, and 5-3. So hopefully we can manage to change things up this time around and not have an embarrassing first-round exit. But facing off against our rivals is definitely something that we've come accustomed to, but we haven't really played them in the playoffs yet. So game 1's going to be in New York, and let's see if we can manage to win at least one of those 2 over the next 2 games here. We lose 7-4, so it doesn't start off properly, and already taking that L. See if we manage to tie it up. Coming back home here, and we don't really have any injuries, so we should play decently. Game 2 here, we win 5-2, so thank God Mers ends up scoring, and Michkov gets his first. Pastella and Svensson score 2, so not too bad there. So at least we've managed to tie it up. We now head home, and we can easily take a 3-1 lead, barring that we don't have any injuries right as I said this. We'll take a look at who else has to play. Colorado looks like 3-0. Geez, they're going to cruise through. Minnesota's tied 1-1. Oilers are 2-1. Seattle is tied with San Jose. And then New York Islanders look like they're cruising through against Boston. And then Montreal Canadiens are going to sweep Toronto. Oh my God, another first round exit, and there's nothing they can do about it. 1-1 for the Battle of Florida. That is hilarious if they lose. Oh my God. So game 3, can we win? And we win 5-7 or 7-5. Smith scores, Luchenko gets his first, and then Luchenko gets a second. Martin scores. Fyodorov, Carlson, and Dickinson get a goal there as well. So not too bad there. We do lead 2-1. We can easily lead 3-1. And it does look like Leafs get swept. That is hilarious. So not only against a rival, but that's insane. So game 4 here. Can we take a commanding lead here? And we don't. Series is tied at 2. We lose in overtime again. Lantanen ends up scoring, and Dalibor Dvorsky ends up scoring to put it through. 2-2. My God, we could have made it easy, but instead we end up making it look much more difficult than what it has to. Game 5 now at New York. Can we win the next 2? And we win at least one of them. So 7-2. That's a decisive win. Martin scores. Smith, Mers, Svensson. And then the second, Mers, Ripken, and Luchenko score. And that is all she wrote. Calabero ends up scoring for them. But at that point, it was 7-1. And not too bad for us. So now head home. We haven't been as deadly at home as what we'd hoped. But let's see if we can manage to cruise through this series and win it. And we do. 4-2 win there. Steiger, Luchenko, and Martin score before Carlson ends up scoring in the third. Stein is injured. Looks like it's just day-to-day. 1 to 2 weeks shoulder strain. That's unfortunate. We'll have to make do, so we'll bring up Peniemi and Piperin. We could also sign Clem, but it seems like too soon. George could come up. O'Connell, no. None of them are close. Clem's at least 2.5 stars. He's only a 74 grade though. Yeah, that's not it's not ideal. We'll just have to sign him in the offseason. We could actually. Oh, Billy Belcher still is not as good as Barkey, so we won't end up messing with that. Pachal could come up too. Same thing with Stephen Wright. But we managed to cruise through. I don't know who we play then. But we managed to at least power through. Utah ended up winning and Seattle ended up winning. Ripken somehow injured randomly. Bruised ribs day to day. So I don't know how that happened. But randomly got hurt. So we end up facing off against Islanders. That's going to be a much more difficult test. I don't even want to know what our season looked like against them. So 4 games, we end up winning 1, 2, we lose 1, and then we won the other. So not the worst look for sure. But with the 2 injuries, it's, oh my God. Why would you send them back down? That does not make any sense. Oh, that is annoying. So AI should not be doing that automatically. Now I'm going to have to dress and do the roles individually. So this is going to take a little bit longer. He shouldn't be a perimeter shooter. We obviously have him as sniper or dangler. You know what? We'll go with dangler for game 1. Sniper, yeah. Perimeter setup. Pastel is now at the top. I guess because the injury. But it looks like he's fine now. So I'll end up switching that up. Svensson. So we have a dangler. I'd rather maybe him up and down though. Yeah. Counter-attacking forward. I'd rather him like that. Kekler is now playing on the 3rd line. And let's see if we can manage to at least get the early lead here. We are going to be playing away from home again. I don't think we're going to get any home ice advantage. Yeah, Stein day-to-day now. He could probably play. Game 1. We lose 3-2 in overtime. Yep, that's the theme of the season. Ripken scores and Luchenko score, but ultimately overtime is our undoing once again. We started off this way too. We can easily tie it up like what we did before, and then win the next 2. I mean, that would be ideal for sure. Edmonton lead 1-0. Montreal leads 1-0. Development report. Let's see. Stephen Wright has played 7 games with us. 7 goals, though. Or 7 points, sorry. 6 assists. He should be up with us. I don't know if it's their playoffs, though. I don't want to really mess with that, actually. Leave it at that. We'll bring him up if we need it. Desmond, now 1.5 stars, so he's starting to develop at least a little bit. But let's see. Game 2 here. Is everyone... Stein's still out. Let's see if we can manage to tie the series up, which we do. 4-3. In overtime, though, we end up getting the win there. Michkov scores, and then Carlson, Michkov again, and then Smith to tie up the series 1-1. We can now go ahead with 2 here. We have home ice. Matty Beniers and Connor McDavid battling it out as well. I mean, if we don't win, I wouldn't mind seeing them win, though. And no Jamie Bed, no. Gary Suter, I guess. Yeah, I don't really have any affiliations with any of the other ones. But I know with the actual voting, I'll probably have an opinion about that. 2-0 to Montreal and 2-0 for Edmonton. I mean, Kraken didn't look like they were that great. Yeah, Colorado won. Colorado now down 2-0. Jesus. That is insane. So game 3 here. Can we manage to get the win with home ice advantage? And we don't. Not even close. I'm not even going to go through that. We need to adjust. Wow. So it's going to be tied. Why can't we just have nice things? Why can't we just take advantage of the situation? Ripken, 50 grade. Oh my god. Stein's going to be playing this one. And I think I did it again. Steven Wright's going to come up. I don't care. They're not starting right. Okay. Who are they starting instead? Okay. Sniper again, Jesus. So let's see if we can manage to turn things around here. Let's get the win here. We win 5-4, so at least it's tied. Carlson, Barkey score, Mers scores, and Janssen score before Michkov scores in second overtime. Thank God Ripken didn't play. He would have not been able to play for 2 weeks after that. 3-1 for Montreal, 3-1 for Edmonton. Says Stein close to returning, but he's already playing for us. He's probably going to miss this game. Yep. Stephen Wright's not playing, though. It feels though he should. I'm taking off Steiger. I'm going to put in Wright. Think it's the right thing to do. Don't hate me, guys. Counterattacking, yeah, we'll go back to Sniper here. See if we can manage to get the win here. And game 5. We win 3-1, thank God. Murr scores, Wright ends up scoring, thank God, and Pestella ends up getting a second. Tonhauser is injured, no way. Bruised neck. Yeah, you're still playing, bud. You're still playing. You can rest after the postseason. 4-1 lead, or 4-1 win, sorry. Jesus. That's ridiculous, though. He should still be able to play. And Stein at 80. He looks like he can play. We're gonna take off Barkey, or no, Steiger again, and then put in Wright. So Sniper here. Perimeter shooter, Sniper, obviously. Counterattacking. Up and down winger, I think. We'll change it up for that. Garbage collector, yeah, that seems about right. Alright, now let's see if we can manage to win. He is at 100% though. So let's see if we can cruise through to conference finals. And we do. 5-2 win. Luchenko scores, Svensson scores, Beardis scores, and then he scores again before Ripken ends up getting his third. So not too bad. Another injury though. The injuries are just piling up. That is insane. Leach managed to win, and hopefully we get a little bit more time off. We're going to be facing off against Montreal, though. And Utah ends up knocking out Colorado, who look like they're destined to make it to the finals. So it's Utah and Edmonton and Montreal and Philly. So far this season, we've played them 3 times. We've lost the first matchup, lost the second, and then won the third. So all in all, does not look too great for us. Yeah, Dixon will probably play there now. We want to put back in, for whatever reason, they're convinced to put in I guess Steiger is playing. Alright. Hasn't Carlson been playing decent, though? His grade's been a 64, so it's not bad. I guess that's okay. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. That looks like what we wanted. And everyone looks like they're relatively healthy. Can we win game 1? We get home ice advantage? That's weird. And we don't take advantage of it. We lose in overtime. Sider scores against us. Oh my god. That is terrible. So we end up releasing him and he scores against us. How has he played this season? He hasn't played well at all. And that's what happens. Yeah. I mean, he is to kind of blame, but there's not much he can really do. 1-0 Edmonton. And we're already on our back foot. Game 2. Let's not look ridiculous here. 5-0 win. Steiger scores, Wright scores, Michkov scores, Lantinen and Martin end up getting on the score sheet. We now head to Montreal. And this is going to be where it becomes serious. 2 games in Montreal. And it's going to be a little bit rough here. Everything looks good after that 5-0 win. Can we win away from home, though? 7-4 win. That's what I like to see. Wright ends up scoring. Luchenko with 2 in the second. And then Michkov, Mers, Steiger, and Fyodorov end up scoring. We do give up the late one, but we are up in the series 2-1. Edmonton as well. I think Utah's won, Edmonton hasn't. And let's see if we can manage to win the next game. 4-2 loss. That's not good. Janssen scores and Fyodorov scores. A series tie, but we head back home. Edmonton leads 3-0. And let's get this done, guys. 3-2 loss, my god. So now you have to win back-to-back. Smith scores, Michkov scores. Jordan St. Louis, is that St. Louis' son? It is not. Disappointing though. 3-2 series deficit. We were up 2-0 and then we ended up giving up 3 straight. Not what I like to see at all. So we'll change it up once more. Let's see if we can manage to get the win away from home again, which we do. 8-2. We force a game 7. Fyodorov scores, Martin, Ripken, and Michkov in the first, and then Mers in the second before Michkov, Stenberg, and Michkov score again in the third. So Michkov gets a hat trick. So I told you he was a sniper. So head to game 7. Luchenko is now hurt. 2 to 3 months. Oh my god. So he's out. That's disappointing. He's out. Series tie 3-3. Can we manage to get the win here? 4-2. So whoever wins between us, it's either going to be a Canadian matchup or I don't know what the other matchup would be. But Game 7, can we win at home finally? And we do, 2-1. So we managed to make it to back-to-back finals. Svensson, Stenberg score, and that is all she wrote. Unfortunately, Luchenko is out, though, which would help us out so much more. Season preview, though, against them, we played them twice. We won 10-2 and 7-2, but again, that was with Luchenko. So I don't expect us to be able to have a dominant win like that. Hopefully we do. So game 1 at home, 8-1. Okay, never mind. Stein scores, Ripken scores, Beardis, Stein, Svensson, Pistella with 2, and then Stein again. Okay, hopefully it's that easy. Game 1 is 8-1 win. Jesus. That is insane. We'll adjust everything again just to make sure that and we'll put him as a sniper though. Other than that, we'll leave everything else. Game 2, 8-2 win. Michkov with 2 goals in the first. Svensson, Mers, and Carlson. And then Latinen scores before Steiger and Martin again in the third. We now head to Edmonton, so it could be a different story once we're away from home here. Hopefully, just continue to make it look easy. Because so far it looks pretty dominant. And let's see if we can do it. I think we can. Development report, I still don't see Beecher. But Oberg looks like he's there at least. Stein now 4.5 potential. That's what I like to see. And let's see if we can manage to win away from home here. Game 3, 4-2 loss, so we can't win everything. Carlson ends up getting a goal there before Michkov gets his 14th. And yeah, criticize everyone after the loss. That was a terrible, terrible look after such a dominant start. And can we do it? That is the question. I think we can. It shouldn't be that difficult to do that. Hall of Fame vote now. Anyone but Tavares. Pecorine, he never won anything. I can't justify. Same thing with Yossi. I have to go with the ones that have won anything. Price still hasn't won anything either. Hedman has. Petrangelo actually, I think he has. I believe he has. And Kucherov, yeah. Oh, actually, gotta go Giroux. What am I doing? Gotta go with the hometown hero here. Okay, see if we can manage to take the lead here, or increase the lead. Game 4, and we win 5-2. Stein scores, Svensson scores 3 goals, and then Stein scores again. So just the 2 of them score in that game. That's pretty wild. Now we head back home here, and we can win in front of our fans. Pistella's now hurt. Oh my god. What is he hurt with? Ron Burt. Oh no, he's not. Okay. So what were they saying? We'll do AI setup organization again. Ronberg's going to get a seat here. Can we win at home? 6-1. We managed to win back-to-back championships here. Michkov, Smith with 2, and then Stenberg before Stenberg and Pistella score. So all in all, we managed to at least win this one. I didn't think we were going to come close, but we managed to turn around. Pistella, obviously, a nice acquisition there. But take a look at the playoffs. Michkov with 38 and 24. Now he's coming to his own. Ripken with 21 and 22 games. Svensson with 20 and 24. Pistella's, yeah, we're going to have to re-sign him. 20 and 24. Smith with 17. Stenberg with 16. Fyodorov with 15. And we'll take a look actually at our goalies. And I'll take a look at how Luchenko did as well. 16, 4 and 4. That is pretty good. 918 save percentage. He just killed it. Wow, he ended up killing it. But we'll look at how Luchenko did in the playoffs. 19 and 18. So yeah, he was definitely one of the reasons why we did so well. But we'll take a look at again total points. Michkov 526 assists, and I think he's closing in. He might be able to do it. He is top 4 now. Next season for sure, he ends up becoming second most all time. So definitely something that we like to see. Hopefully you guys like this. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And thank you for watching. Until next time.